What happens when an empire that possesses everything faces a man who has nothing to lose? What happens when power accumulated over centuries collides with an ambition that moves faster than any border? At the end of the 4th century BCE, the known world prepared for one of the most decisive confrontations in history. This was not just a war between armies. It was a clash between two models of power, two ways of ruling, and two radically different visions of destiny. On one side, the Persian Empire, vast, organized, immensely wealthy, heir to generations of domination. On the other, a young Macedonian king convinced that the world could be conquered through speed, audacity, and sheer will. This is the story of Alexander the Great and Darius III. Welcome to Alexander against Darius. Total conquest versus empire. On the right, Alexander the Great. He is born in 356 BCE in Pella, Macedonia, the son of King Philip II, a brilliant strategist who transformed a minor kingdom into a military power. From childhood, Alexander grows up surrounded by war, politics, and ambition. But one element sets him apart: his education. Philip entrusts his formation to Aristotle, who instills in him philosophy, science, literature, and a powerful idea. Greatness is not merely about ruling, but about transcending. Alexander does not want to be a king. He wants to be legendary. From an early age, he displays a dangerous mix of intelligence, impulsiveness, and charisma. He leads by example, exposes himself in battle, and forges an almost personal bond with his soldiers. He is not distant. He is not ceremonial. He is pure presence. For Alexander, authority is not derived from rank, but from shared risk. When Philip is assassinated, Alexander inherits the throne at just 20 years old. Many doubt him. Greece stirs. Enemies wait for his mistake. Alexander responds with brutal speed. He crushes rebellions, destroys Thebes, and sends a clear message: there will be no turning back. His gaze is no longer fixed on Greece. It is fixed on Asia. It is fixed on Persia. And on the left, Darius III. Darius ascends the Persian throne in 336 BCE under completely different circumstances. He does not rise through conquest, but through succession within a complex court shaped by intrigue, assassinations, and fragile balances of power. The Achaemenid Empire is the largest the world has ever seen, stretching from the Aegean to the Indus, from Egypt to Central Asia. Darius rules over millions of people, dozens of cultures, and a sophisticated administrative structure. Satraps, tribute systems, regional armies, and an impressive logistical network sustain the empire. Persian power does not depend on the king as a warrior, but as the guarantor of order. Darius is not a conqueror. He is an administrator of the world. His authority rests on stability, continuity, and the perception of imperial invincibility. Persia does not need to take risks. Persia waits, and when it acts, it does so with overwhelming numerical superiority. For generations, this formula has worked. Until Alexander appears: two men, two systems, two opposing ideas of power. This is where the battle begins. In 334 BCE, Alexander crosses the Hellespont with a relatively small army. Fewer than 40,000 men march into Persian territory. From the empire's perspective, this is not an existential threat. It is just another incursion, similar to many others crushed in the past. The first serious confrontation takes place at the river Granicus. Persian commanders trust their defensive position and their cavalry. They expect the young Macedonian king to act prudently. They expect negotiation. They expect caution. Alexander grants them none of it. He attacks head-on, crosses the river under enemy fire, and leads the charge against the Persian nobility. The fighting is fierce. At a critical moment, Alexander is exposed and comes close to death. Only the intervention of one of his men saves him. The battle ends in a Macedonian victory. Militarily, the damage is limited. Psychologically, it is devastating. For the first time, Persian troops witness an enemy king fighting on the front line and surviving. The myth of Persian superiority cracks for the first time. Cities across Asia Minor begin to fall one by one. Alexander does not stop. Darius watches. After the Persian defeat in Asia Minor, Darius realizes the threat is neither local nor temporary. Alexander is not just another Greek rebel. This is a full-scale invasion. For the first time in generations, the heart of the Persian Empire is at risk. Darius decides to do what no satrap can do for him: take direct command. He gathers troops from across the empire: Persians, Medes, Babylonians, Armenians, Syrians. A massive army designed to crush through sheer numerical superiority. The message is unmistakable. The great king has arrived, and with him, the full weight of Persia. The encounter takes place in 333 BCE near Issus. The terrain is narrow, squeezed between mountains and sea. The Persian war machine cannot fully deploy. Still, Darius trusts that tradition and royal presence will be enough. Alexander understands something crucial. Issus is not a battle of attrition. It is a test of legitimacy. From the outset, he directs his attack toward the Persian center. He does not aim to destroy the wings. He aims for the king. When he breaks the central line and his cavalry approaches the royal chariot, the balance collapses. Darius sees the threat approaching, and he flees. The retreat of the great king is a devastating psychological blow. In the Persian world, the king is not merely a commander. He is the symbolic axis of the empire. When he abandons the battlefield, the army understands the war is lost. Issus becomes a total defeat. The royal camp falls intact, and there, something even more serious remains behind. Darius's family. Alexander could humiliate them. He does the opposite. He protects them. He treats them with honor. The gesture is political. The message spreads throughout the empire. While the king flees, the invader governs. Darius attempts negotiation. He offers territories, wealth, alliances. Alexander rejects everything. He is no longer seeking an agreement. He is seeking an end. From Issus onward, the war changes in nature. It is no longer only military. It is psychological. For 2 years, Darius reorganizes his forces. He recruits troops from across the empire and prepares the final confrontation. He carefully chooses the battlefield, the plains of Gaugamela, ideal for deploying numerical superiority. In 331 BCE, both armies face each other for the last time. Everything seems to favor Darius. Everything, except one factor: Alexander. The Macedonian executes an oblique maneuver, shatters the Persian balance, and once again drives toward the center. The scene repeats itself. When Darius perceives the danger, he flees again. This second retreat is definitive. The empire does not collapse for lack of soldiers, but for lack of confidence. Babylon opens its gates. Susa capitulates. Persepolis falls. Darius flees eastward. He is betrayed by his own men and assassinated in 330 BCE, without a throne, without an empire. Alexander orders him buried with royal honors. The conqueror does not destroy Persia. He inherits it. With the distance of centuries, this confrontation reveals itself as a lesson in power. Darius III was not a weak king. He ruled the most extensive and sophisticated empire of his time, sustained by efficient administration and a satrapal system that ensured stability. Persia had survived for generations thanks to that balance, but that balance came at a cost. Persian power depended on the perception of invincibility. The great king was not just a ruler, but the symbol of order itself. When Darius fled at Issus, and again at Gaugamela, he did not merely lose battles. He shattered the trust that held the empire together. Alexander understood this better than anyone. He did not need to conquer Persia from the beginning. Defeating the symbol was enough. From that moment on, many cities surrendered not out of fear, but calculation. It was safer to accept the new power than to defend one that no longer seemed legitimate. Alexander did not win through numbers or resources, but through speed, initiative, and personal leadership. While Darius represented a power that needed time to react, Alexander embodied a power that imposed itself instantly. The irony is clear. Darius ruled an empire that seemed eternal, and it fell within a few years. Alexander created a vast empire and died young, unable to consolidate it. But his victory changed the world. The fall of Persia gave rise to the Hellenistic world, a new historical era born from the collision between East and West. This is how Alexander the Great against Darius III, total conquest versus empire, comes to an end. This was Versus, where history becomes battle.